She never. No, Miss Clark never said you cannot use Google Translate. She did not. All she said is Google Translate switches up some words every now and then. That's what she said. But she said Google Translate is a great source to use.
For your whole paper?
Thank you.
Jeez, man.
I didn't order it. My parents did.
Yeah, one dude's catch.
What's your name?
Welcome here at Fiesta Varacruz for our third sports show of the year. Tonight we have Wilmington High School up first here on Campus Nation, joining Coach Scott Killen, and will be Logan Frazier and Grant Mayer, along here with Chad McAllister. This week's Coach Killen, you guys played Blanchester. Give us a little rundown over the game here.
Well, we came out and for a while there we couldn't get out of our own way. We'd move the ball, we'd have a big penalty. We'd move the ball, we'd have a turnover. Defense played well in spurts, and then had some breakdowns here and there. We're still working through. But overall, Blanchester played the way I thought they were going to play. They're going to come out, they're going to play us really, really tough, being a county rivalry game, and they didn't quit. And then towards the end, they hit that long pass and then turned around, got the onside kick and returned a kick, and so it was the score was a little bit closer than it was, but give Blanchester all the credit in the world. They came out and played hard for 4 quarters, I thought.
How'd a simple kid play?
Very well. He's a gunslinger, man. It was hard for us to get to him in pressure situations because when you got close, man, he just got rid of it.
Definitely seemed like one of those games where you guys probably could have put them away early, and it just turned into a dogfight. And
but
they weren't going away.
No, and give them credit for taking advantage of our miscues, but we got to clean up the play on the penalties. I think we had 13 total penalties, and I think only one of them was a 5-yarder. I think we had one offsides. But we got to clean up the penalties. We got to clean up the turnovers. But yeah, 3 of our turnovers came inside the red zone. So you look at that. That's 21 points, right there. But it is what it is. I was very proud of our kids for fighting through adversity right now, and like I said, our line's slowly getting there. It's a process. They're young, and some of them they've played 4 weeks of varsity ball. So it's definitely, you just got to take the growing pains, you got to take the good with the bad, and just keep building.
Logan Frazier here, playing outside linebacker this year. What's been the big obstacles that you face walking down an outside linebacker now?
I think it's better for me because it's not as much stuff to remember because I'm not good at remembering stuff, and I like it.
That's true.
It's all right. I can't either.
I do have a hard time remembering stuff, but I like it better because I feel like I can see what's going on in the offense better, so I can get myself lined up and know what I'm doing.
How important is it to have the defensive line fire off the ball? And most people don't really realize the defensive line is so, at a linebacker position, is so key for the line to get through their gap and play gap assignment football and get heels depth so that you can get in your read, down in your read steps. How's the defensive line been playing? How do you feel? Do you feel as if, they're up to par?
I feel like they're doing a good job. We do have some missed assignments here and there, and I feel like even the defense as a whole, if we get tired, we start missing even more assignments. But that's what we've been working on, is keeping the defensive line doing what they need to do.
Now, Logan, I was there Friday night, watched you guys, obviously, but I did notice you had a lot of like hidden yard plays where you saved what was potentially a long touchdown run that I thought was going to go a long way, and you were the last man there to make a tackle, and a handful of pass breakups that this is probably the best game I've seen you play this season for sure. You were all over the place.
Yeah, I try to stay around the play to be able to help out if anything goes wrong. So that's what I've been really trying to do this year, is stay as close to the play as I can.
Now, you've been playing football for a long time. You've probably done it from the first year you could at Pee Wee in this program. What's that mean to for you being a senior now? What are you trying to leave with this Wilmington program after you move on to school or whatever you want to do after you get out?
Well, what I really want to do is to teach the younger kids that, well, you have to trust the process, and that no matter how terrible it might be to go through the practices that we did today, because that's not fun, it really makes you better, and it's what you need to do is go hard even though it sucks.
Now, Grant Mayer, this year you took over at running back position. How do you like that? Coming into the season, you probably was in the starting running back field.
Well, looking at Greenfield, they were more run. I mean, they threw the ball when they had to, but I don't think he's real comfortable at throwing the ball. But I think, I'll be honest, I'm not real sure what they're going to do, because I think they're still trying to find themselves. I think if they get any type of momentum on one certain thing, that's what they're going to go at and continue to do, just to try to get some success. I kind of look for them to run the ball, to kind of try to shorten the game a little bit. That's kind of what I'm going in thinking, trying to prepare. But you know what? It's not about them. It's about us, and us preparing, and us taking another step forward to get where we need to be.
So you're 1-0 in the county this week. This week you're looking to go 2-0.
Yep.
You take each week as it goes. You're entering league play the following week. We don't need to talk much about that. But how big is this win to enter league play and start your league play there?
Oh, it's huge, especially when you look at getting wins over teams that are going to win games. I would be, Bland's got a tough one with Goshen this week, but I'm kind of looking at Bland to start rolling off some wins here, and those wins are going to lead to points for us when we talk about harboring points moving forward. And just setting ourselves up for just getting to league play where we can get some points, playing some quality teams, and kind of just moving up the playoff ladder.
You got a freshman D lineman,
Brett Brooks.
Yeah, Brett Brooks. He's been playing well. I watched him past few games.
It's been a process.
Yes, but it's growing as a freshman. Stepping in, playing that role.
Right.
Trying to keep people off your backers, let them scrape free. How do you feel he's doing?
Brett's one of those. Like, I wasn't sure if he was going to step up. I mean, but working through the process, and some of those kids coming from 8th grade to they don't know what they don't know, and then they get thrown into this, and you get deer in the headlight look. You're like, oh my goodness, what in the world? And then I scream a lot. I'm good, bad. These guys will tell you I'm an equal opportunity yeller. So with Brett, I didn't know how he was going to react, but he's a beast when he gets into it and goes. He can move, and he's going to demand a double team, and that's what we want out of our nose guard, is demand that double team. And every week he gets better, he gets more consistent. A lot of times with the freshmen, they don't know the importance of going hard all the time. Because they can get away in 8th grade level and junior high going hard every once in a while, but at the varsity level, you have to go hard all the time, and he's getting there.
Logan, your senior year this year. What is it like? What do you want to leave behind to these freshmen? Guys like Brett Brooks that's stepping up.
So if I want them to sprint, then we'll do 15 minutes of lane drills where they're working on sprinting 40, 50 yards, breaking down, closing on the ball, squeezing. Or we do agility drills, or we are going to do a lot of special team stuff where we're running on and off the field. So the way I like to describe it is we want to steal reps whenever we can. So I look at my practice schedule. Every time there's a black line, we want to steal 3 or 4 reps. Well, how do we steal it? We run from group to group, and kind of so our conditioning is built in to our practice without the traditional, all right, we got 5 gassers, we got 10 gassers, so on and so forth.
Yeah, because that kind of gets a kid out of, sync, knowing they got to run 20, 40s at the game. But if you're moving back and forth, sometimes like a basketball game, you don't even know you don't know you're even conditioning. You're just getting back and forth.
And so far, I mean, I think our conditioning's actually held up in games. There's only a couple of times some of the bigger kids, they get winded quickly, so we have to, sub them out. But like these young guys here, they just keep going and going.
Now, how important is it for you to have, guys playing one way and one way only?
It really just comes down to, it's just a philosophy. You look at teams that make long runs in the playoffs and teams that, play for the state championships and stuff. They don't have a lot of guys going both ways. You have a couple guys here and there, but you have a guy that you can spell them with. And that's really what I'm trying to build. And, to change that mentality has been hard. Because, you got these kids like, well, I've never come off the field. Or you got dads that, well, when I played, I never left the field at all except for halftime. Yeah, I've heard those conversations too. Well, and my thing to you is, well, how many state championships have you won? What have you done? And that's just my, it's my view. Like, I have a plan. Like, and the plan really hasn't even, these guys don't even know my plan. Like, when it comes to how to organize everything. Because we got to get there first. So we're still in the process of getting there. But, I mean, it's all part of it. We just, the 2 platoon, if you can get guys playing one way, that's only benefit because they can go harder longer.
Getting off football for a second, why don't you fill us in on the Dancing with the Stars you have upcoming? What you got going on with that?
Oh, Dancing with the Stars.
How's that practice going for you?
It's amazing. It's been interesting. I got a big rehearsal tomorrow night. I got a rehearsal Thursday, and then the live show is Saturday. So, and right now I'm doing a fundraiser. If anybody wants to try to win 4 Buckeye tickets with a parking pass to the Nebraska game, November 3rd, shoot me an email, and I'll make sure I'm raffling off for $10 a ticket.
What can we expect to see Saturday night?
I already did.
Raffle.
I already did, bud. Yeah. Come on, Rick. Don't interrupt me. I'm talking.
He's in the middle of the
Come
game,
on,
bud.
man.
All right, so we have Wilmington High School here tonight here. They're playing East Clinton. Next up will be Wilmington College. They will be joining us. Game time is at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock kickoff, Alumni Field. That day you can pick up Dance with the Star raffle tickets there.
Raffle tickets at the game. All right, Campus Nation. This is Chad McAllister, Chris Weiskup, Coach Killen, Logan, Grant Mayer. We're out.
Thanks.
About 4 minutes. Sorry. Well, here we go.
Want to start down some extra chips or what?
Oh, man.
Massie High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it'd be you and Matt, because I'm going to be at Kentucky State.
Didn't that one guy, girls coach, he left?
He's up at Defiant.
Made it 21-14. We had the ball to start the second half as well. But we got into halftime, felt really good about where we were. Our defense was getting worn down. You know, it was on that turf. It was up over 100 degrees on that turf. They had 4 or 5 seniors on their offensive line, and that really wore us down in the second half, where they were really intent on just going to run the football and be patient and milk that clock. And I think like in the first half, we only had 22 offensive plays. They had 2 14-play drives, and I think that really just sucked the life out of us, you know, depth-wise and stuff like that. Was a little rough on us. You know, at one time we looked on the field, we had 9 first-time starters playing on offense, and on defense we had 7. And when you're playing against veteran teams that go deep, you know, deep into their roster, you're going to get that sometimes. But overall, as far as effort-wise, I think they gave me everything they had. I don't think they left anything on that football field. Obviously, there's stuff we're going to learn along the way because we're so young. There's mistakes we're making because we haven't been in those situations before. But I think it's very, very encouraging moving forward of the lessons we learned coming out of there.
Well, it seems you guys had 386 total yards to their 610, so it looks like you guys was moving the ball, doing good things, making things, and just wasn't finishing.
Yeah, it was weird. We were just so hot and so cold, and little of it really had to do with Ohio Northern or their pressure or anything like that. You know, there were just, you know, a lot of plays that were our best plays during a week of practice that were wide open in the game, and we just weren't pitching and catching the ball as consistently as you need to, and you can't give away downs in this conference. And we were doing a little bit of that, just not being on exactly as crisp as what we needed to be. And then we get rolling at times. We're hitting a deep ball over top and running the ball, you know, getting that thing going. So at times we were a really, really good offense, and we just got to be able to sustain that over the course of 4 quarters.
I know you've been on here before talking about your 75 freshmen this year. This just came up talking with my son about high school football this week.
Right.
And I was kind of thinking to myself, how are like freshmen coming into college now, are they compared to when you first started as an assistant coach? Do you feel like they're more prepared for like college level football than they probably were 20 years ago or whenever you had started coaching?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily notice a difference too much. I think it really depends on the high school, the type of program that they came from. You can tell the programs were not necessarily skill-wise, but the ability to be coached and the ability to take the coaching and apply it and still play fast. Kids that come from good programs get to college, and they're basically learning a foreign language, new terminology, new formations, and it slows a lot of kids down where they're thinking and not playing.
Train, I'm going to just get back on my wide receiver coach and get back training and just work 10 times harder than I did this season just to get back and be on another mental ready level and game ready level.
Coach, what was it like losing him this year? And you brought him in here for a reason, so the thing is, and
yeah, it was. I want to word this correctly. I don't feel like I've lost him. This guy still shows up to every practice. He is basically my right-hand man. He grabs those young kids. He's in every meeting, doesn't miss any meetings, even though obviously the guys are going to play. A lot of times those guys don't come to film meetings and stuff because they're not playing. He's at every one. He's studying at night on his own. He's, you know, on our wide receiver group page and stuff like that. He's posting routes he sees on TV and stuff like that, or techniques that we use to show guys. So I don't feel I lost a player necessarily. I feel like I gained a coach in that aspect of it. And I'm really, really proud of him for how he's handled that, the maturity that he's shown with that. But just being a young team, losing a guy that has 10 starts under his belt at wide receiver, a guy that, you know, that really grew up in the spring and had an unbelievable spring, a guy that we were counting on being a focal point for us offensively, that part hurts because you don't replace them with another veteran kid. You replace them with an 18-year-old. And now obviously you got somebody that's got to go through a learning curve to get where Deshaun already is. So that part hurts, certainly.
Now you guys are back home here against Muskenium. Talked a little bit about it. Let everybody know here on Campus Nation and the listeners a little bit about Muskenium. Said they was a lot like you guys, new coaching staff.
They're in the same boat in a lot of ways that we are. They're not a whole lot of seniors. They got a brand new coaching staff, so they're taking some younger guys that are learning a new system, so they still make new player mistakes, new system mistakes. But overall, they're a very, very good defensive team, which stands out when you watch them on film. Their defensive line is a problem, a big problem. And they play fast. They play very physical, and they'll make some mistakes. And if you're in the right spots when they make those mistakes, there's opportunities there. And then on the other side of the ball, everything goes through their quarterback. They switched up offensive schemes. They're more of a power football team now than a spread team. And but their quarterback, he's a hard guy to get to. He's got eyes in the back of his head, a lot like Luke was last year for us. He just kind of makes plays on his own that you really can't simulate in practice of how to deal with them. So he'll be a stressor for us all week.
If you need me to come over there and talk to you or ask you what you did wrong, then that's what I'm here for. I'm here any way mentally that I can be. Physically I can't, but I just try to be there for them as much as I can.
What kind of differences have you noticed since Coach Moore's staff came in your sophomore year in comparison to your freshman year?
When they first came in, it took me a minute to get on board. I was still going through my transitions of understanding college and how serious I was with the game. So it took me, I got in trouble here and there, but Coach Moore bringing me into his office and sitting me down and understanding, like, I do have faith in you, but you got to have faith in yourself, and you got to be able to turn yourself around. So when the coaching staff came in and I started to buy in and I started to understand the process and understand what tough street means and things like that, I finally started to see myself progression. This spring, like you said, it was a big spring for me. I gained 10 pounds of muscle, got faster, I understand the game more, the playbook got easier to me. It was just like I became a whole new player at that point. So that's why when I came into the season, I was just so ready because I just felt like I'm in the best shape possible. The playbook is just, this is just my year. That's just how I came in. So this coaching staff helped me a lot, just changing myself, not on the field, but even off the field, just understanding that just think about the decisions you make before. You're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting your family and the team, and just things like that. Just helped me a big part growing up, I should say.
Yeah, let me take a minute here, too, and love up Deshaun here. Deshaun is the epitome of a success story of what you want in a player-coach relationship. And he was, and I think he knows this, too, when we got here, it was everything that was wrong with this program. He wasn't a great weight room guy. His body language was bad in there, kind of distant and to himself, not a great communicator. His body language was bad when he did mess up, and he'd check out a little bit. And just, I think, believing in him and tell him that it's there. We just need you to change a little bit. We don't need to change Deshaun, but here's what we need out of you. And then when he started doing that, he saw results. And he changed our football program single-handedly when you could take a guy that was going the wrong way and flip him in a year's time to where he's voted as a captain by his teammates is arguably one of the in any place I've ever been, as great of a one-year turnaround as an individual that I've ever seen. And that part's off the field. And then he got the rewards on the field because of how he changed himself off the field and the respect and the trust that he built. And I'm very, very proud of Deshaun and what he's done for me personally in my program.
Now, how do you expect, you have 75 freshmen, we go about this every week, but how do you expect to keep these kids come back now?
Stop it. You know it's going to happen, and you got to be mentally strong to say, all right, he got us. He's a good player. Good players do that. And now let's go on to the next play. He's also a kid who threw 4 interceptions last week, too. So he'll make mistakes just like anybody else.
How do you think this new class, the 75 kids that coming in playing their first home game, how do you think they're going to react to it?
I don't know. It's hard with 18-year-old kids, man, to see. But I'm sure they'll be fired up. They were fired up to play an OAC game last week. A bunch of them are playing in a JV game right now down at Mount St. Joe. So I expect we'll have a great preparation week in practice. We'll learn from our mistakes, and I think you'll see us at our best, ripping and roaring and running around playing Quaker football there, tough street football next Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach. Go ahead. You guys got Muskemium at 1:30.
It might be a 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock game. It's 2 o'clock at Wilmington. We'll be on air at 1:30. CampusNation.com, WZA 106.9. I want to thank you, Coach, for coming in.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Deshaun,
Appreciate
good
it.
luck.
Appreciate it.
Good luck back on recovery there, buddy.
Thank you. I definitely
Thank you,
will.
sir.
I'll try and get up there afterwards quick if I can.
Yeah, I started a new thing this year too to try to avoid some of that. Is as soon as the game's over, I take the guys inside of the talk to one of them. So I get them in there for about 5 minutes, and then I should be able to come right back out and get up there. Parents are pissed at me and shit like that. So just do what I can.
Chad went restrooms. All right. And then you're ready for Jeremy?
Yep, here in about a second.
Situation. So it comes on. Got it?
Yeah, it's all right. It's just it's the first week to talk to him. It's been these things in place that didn't show up. So we was just like, just press that like that. So, are you green? Welcome back to Campus Nation here for our third set of our sports show here. Chad McAllister and I, Chris Weiska. Third set here we have East Clinton with head coach Jeremy Yankee, Dalton Wilson, linebacker, and Mason Huff, the right guard and linebacker. It's nice to have you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you having us again.
Last week you guys suffered, a little loss. What went wrong in that game starting off?
We still don't tackle well. We can't stop the counter play. Turned the ball over 4 times. So, same story. When you can't stop the run and you can't run, it's hard to be a successful football team.
What was the transition, with losing your quarterback, having Austin Rolfe, who hadn't played in 3 years? That's tough. Hadn't played. Well, how long has it been since he's actually played?
Quarterback. He took a few snaps as a freshman for JV purposes because we've struggled with depth at that position for the last 4 years. But it was asking a lot to take a kid and basically teach him quarterback in 4 days. Because the only other quarterbacks we had really ready are freshmen. And, they're doing okay, but Austin did okay. He understands. He didn't make many mistakes other than picks, and that's just something that, like from the run game standpoint, he did well. He ran the ball well. Just not delivering a ball on time at the right time and stuff like that. That's just something that takes a lot of reps and time. Not many guys just go out and start getting snaps in live situations and throw the ball in the right spot. So I think with each passing week, you'll probably get a little bit better. And, you know, we're still developing Jared Smith as a freshman. So it'll take us a little bit of time, but we'll see.
How many freshmen you have on your starting varsity team?
We got freshmen that are playing some varsity. We have Singleton, Runyon that are playing wideouts. Chris Norman has been playing quite a bit, offensive tackle. And then on defense, Michael Horn played quite a bit last week. Landon Runyon's been playing DB, and Jared Smith's been playing DB. And Brody Fisher is playing some defense. We had a kid that actually transferred from Wilmington, and he came late right when school started, and it was a freshman, and just played that first half of the Cedarville game and was really good, and tore like a PCL in his knee. So it was a shame because he played literally about a quarter and a half and was playing well. So
you're back this week.
Yeah.
You'll be playing. What do you expect? What do you expect out of yourself against Wilmington this week?
I mean, being a D lineman, I'm just hoping help stop the run and get to the quarterback.
Coach, how is, dealing, and it's very tough, dealing with having 4 or 5 freshmen on the field at once, but also knowing, and it's promising, that they're going to be coming up through this program, and you can, kind of build from that.
Well, it's tough. I mean, anytime you're putting freshmen on the field on a Friday, you're in a bad spot. And, my first 2 years as head coach, no freshman even lettered, and that was a good thing. Because I believe in order to be a successful high school football program, you should win with juniors and seniors. Because that's what good programs do. And, when we're playing Clinton-Massie and likes of Hillsborough and Wilmington and schools like that, and you got to put freshmen out there, it's not a good situation. So, but in saying that, I mean, it's getting some kids ready. They're getting a lot of experience. So, we lettered 2 freshmen last year, and this year it's hard to tell how many will, but a handful. So, I mean, we're still, in that respect, still a pretty young football team.
What do you expect out of Wilmington this week?
Well, they're much bigger than us up front, as really our first 4 opponents have been. I was watching quite a bit of film of them over the weekend, and they've got some kids that are, playmakers. That looks like their defensive backs are pretty good. They got, not a decent set of corners, and they're young up front. I mean, I noticed their D-line is young. I pretty much only watch defense and special teams, so I can't really comment too much on our offense. I haven't even watched it, honestly. Their defense is they've struggled a little bit in some games. They've played well in others. But I was watching last week's Bland game, and from what I've seen from both sides of that ball, there was quite a bit of turnovers in the game that each team kind of hurt themselves. I think if either team, doesn't turn the ball over, that's game. It's a difference in that game, really. But they kept turning the ball over and kept it close. So, but Wilmington's just big and aggressive and tough, and the kind of team that we've struggled with all year long.
And it's kind of tough, though. Being a Division 5 school, you guys, we're 5 again, aren't we? Division 5 school playing, 2, 3s, 1s, 2s, 3s. Well, you're not any 1s, but 2s and 3s is very, very tough to face. I mean, sometimes I think the SBAC, the small side is okay, but putting those big teams, there's big schools on your team, on your schedule, like your New Richmonds, your, kids that field 60 kids. It's tough when you can field 30, 40 kids.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly the case with Massie and with Wilmington as well. I mean, we're at a numbers disadvantage for sure.
You haven't had the success with the games, with wins and losses, but you feel like everybody's still all in, still going to grind this out. You're going to get that first win and hit a stride and start making things happen.
Yeah, I'll speak about that first. Friday was obviously rough. Friday night was rough for us. We just really struggled offensively. And our defense, at times didn't play too bad. Our offense, with the 4 turnovers, just put us in bad positions, and we were on the field way too much as a defense. But so emotionally, I think Friday night it was really exhausting. We didn't do too well, but I was surprised that the kids came Saturday and really was pretty upbeat, had a good attitude. Today was pretty much the same. I think they understand where we are and what we can do still. Because, I told them there's a lot of things that still are out there for us to accomplish, even though, we're 0-4 and it's not where we want to be. But, there's things that can still be done this season to make it very successful. You guys go ahead.
At first, after the loss Friday night, I was like, wow, this is going to be bad. Everybody's going to be down in the dumps and not wanting to come back, not wanting to work just as hard as they have been. But I was really surprised Saturday morning when I came and everybody was still there, ready to work hard and just focus on Wilmington and the rest of the season, realizing that we could still win 5 games, and it's been really good since then. I was surprised.
After Friday night, it was a hard loss, but I was expecting more people not to show up than to show up. And, more people showed the attitude that Coach likes to teach, to show up and the last games in the past and to move on to the next and just move on and get better.
Coach, do you feel like, it's just a matter of stringing some successful things in a row? Has there been signs of a good drive here, good drive there, and then things fall apart for a drive or two? Is it just a matter of putting a good quarter or a good half together to get things rolling?
Yeah, definitely we need to do that. And, we'd hoped we could do that against McLean last week. And I told our guys, I said, from watching the McLean film and seeing their scores for the first 3 weeks, and they had a coaching change there. And we had beat them the past 2 years. And I said, this is a different team. This is a different McLean team than we've seen the past 2 years. And they were very fundamentally sound. They played a really good football game Friday. Coach Orzodi's down there. He's done a good job in a short amount of time. But they're about to get in their league play, and that's going to be brutal for them. But, yeah, I just think, if we could do basically what they did, because they played 4 good quarters of football against us, and just putting that together. There's times this year where we've done some good things in all of our games, but just not enough. We haven't put it together for any extended period of time.
Going into the county game this week, of course, you guys played Massie the first week. What does it mean, to play? You guys got Blanchester this year to play all 3 of the county teams. What is that like for you to be able to go over here?
It really is. Now, Fayetteville's 4-0 right now, and they started the same way last year, 4-0, and I think they end up 5-5 for the year. C&E's 3-1. They'll be decent. Williamsburg's 1-3, but they put 35 points on Hillsborough last week. I'm anxious to see that film. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
they've got a new coach down there, a little new system, so I don't really know too much about Williamsburg because I'm sure they're different than they were a year ago when we beat them. Bethel Tate last year, of course, was 10-0, went to the playoffs, and they were phenomenal, but they lost 18 starters, 9 on each side of the ball, and they're struggling a little bit. And then our last 2 home games of the year, C&E and Bland, they put it on us pretty good last year, week 10. We were just mentally not ready to play that week, and we're just kind of packing it in. Hopefully we're a little fired up, a little different this year, and hopefully we got something to play for going into that week because it's kind of nice how the SBC set up the schedule for the 2 Clinton County rivalries to play each other both in week 10 when Massie plays Wilmington and we play Blanchester.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. So we'll get Bland at home the week 10, and we'll get a kid that we think can help us, a transfer from Wilmington that's academically ineligible. He'll be able to play weeks 9 and 10 on a D-line for us, and that'll be a big boost for us defensively. Once we get into league play, like I told our kids, we're 0-0.
Yep.
Everyone's 0-0. And last year we won our first 2 league games, and we go into that Bethel Tate game, and us and them are the only 2 teams left that were undefeated in league play.